Hi, I'm Chris of Wilson Wildlife Sculpture. This is the third video in the series of carving, texturing, and painting a realistic bobwhite quail. And in this video, I'm going to show how to paint the realistic bobwhite quail and get a very soft sheen using both acrylics and oil paints. So I've got various examples here. I'll do demonstrations, talk about paints, color theory, even composition. So stay tuned and thanks for joining me. Here's an example of the bobwhite quail up close, which will be the focus. It's a finished quail. I first painted with acrylics and then finished it with oils. I also have a mount here, for example. I'm going to put this away as I talk about this and talk a little bit about materials I use and why I use acrylics and oils. I started with using Liquitex acrylics back in the early 1980s, and they work great, especially for washes of paint. Now the tubes will shine up a little bit, so I do other types of paint now. I still use Liquitex acrylics though. And then I switched to oil paints in the 1990s, late 80s and 90s. And it gave a really soft sheen to the work. That's why I like oils. Plastic, the acrylics have a little plastic feel. If you're not careful, they can look shiny. Oils can look shiny too, but I'll show, if you watch the other video, how I texture the bird. That absorbs the light and gives a really a non-reflective surface, very similar to feathers. It's very rich and has a wonderful sheen, almost like velvet. So now I paint with acrylics and oils. I use polyurethane airbrush colors. I use these paints by a company from Spain called Minim Acrylics, Chromatic Wheel 1 and Chromatic Wheel 2. So I always look at the paints in terms of their hue, their saturation of color, that's their intensity, how bright, relative bright and dark they are. I mean, how saturated pigment they are. And last is value. That's how relative light and dark they are. And notice this quail here painted in black and white for reference. And I'll talk about that trick in painting and underpainting your work and how you can achieve a really brilliant finish. Now be careful of your reference material. Mounts like this, they fade over time. And so this quail is, gosh, several decades old. And bobwhite quail actually, they vary quite a bit too from different regions of the country, especially down in South Florida. They look more redder, or in South Georgia. I'm in Georgia, and this is the bobwhite quail, highest concentration in the United States, in the Red Hills region of South Georgia and northern Florida. And I love bobwhite quail, but they're not easy to paint, so bear with me here. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I'll talk about the brushes I use and the paints. I'll start with acrylics. You can finish the work in acrylics if you want, or you can use oils, or you could use both like me, and you can top coat your acrylics with oils, but it's more difficult to, and I don't recommend using acrylics after you use oils, because oil and water don't mix. I also show how to use an airbrush. Okay, this is by Iwata, one of my favorite airbrushes, and I will show lots of different mediums, vehicles for your paint, so that you get a soft finish, or actually in some areas glossy finish is good, like on shafts of feathers, or a certain sheen of the bill, or the eyes, the feet. So I'll paint all that. So thanks for joining, and I will get with it soon.